Here we go again with I got my hair braided under here. You know, what's up? What's up? What's up? This is your girl, Pastor Courage Molina. And we've been doing daily Bible reading. And with the daily Bible reading, we started this week, right? And so I'm not going to do it on Saturday and Sunday. So we discussed this morning, like, okay, maybe I could read twice on Friday and twice on Monday. So here we go. And the daily Bible reading has been in chronological order. And I just have a Bible reading plan. So I don't know how accurate it is, like as far as going from Genesis chapter 11 and skipping over to Job. But we know that the Bible is not put together in order. So in chronological order. So, here we go. We about to get into Job, and we're gonna be reading. Let me go back. Job, I said 1 through 5. Yeah, because that is the next section on this plan. So say what's up. I see some of you are on here. I know I said in 10 minutes, but let's get started. As you can see, I'm dressed this late hour. I need some lotion on these elbows. You can see I'm dressed at this late hour. It's late for me. Maybe it's not late for y'all. I mean, it's only 6 o'clock. But I was invited to this Friendsgiving, which I wasn't really gonna go to because it's dark. But I don't really get out much. So I thought, you know what? It's fine. And it's with the executive director of the Nest, and so it's fine. All right, so y'all ready? Let's get into it. Let me just look at my battery life. It's fine. So Job, prologue. There once was a man named Job who lived in the land of Uz. He was blameless, a man of complete integrity. He feared God and stayed away from evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 5 teams of oxen, and 50 female donkeys. He also had many servants. He was, in fact, the richest person in that entire area. Job's sons would take turns preparing feasts in their homes, and they would also invite their 3 sisters to celebrate with them. When these celebrations ended, sometimes after several days, Job would purify his children. He would get up early in the morning and offer a burnt offering for each of them. For Job said to himself, perhaps my children have sinned and have cursed God in their hearts. That was Job's regular practice. One day, the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser, Satan, came with them. So y'all hear Satan is in heaven. He went there. Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. Then the Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil. Satan replied to the Lord, yes, but Job has good reason to fear God. You have always put a wall of protection around him and his home and his property. You have made him prosper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. All right, you may test him, the Lord said to Satan. Do whatever you want with everything he possesses, but don't harm him physically. So Satan left the Lord's presence. One day, when Job's sons and daughters were feasting at the oldest brother's house, a messenger arrived at Job's home with the news. Your oxen were plowing, with the donkeys feeding beside them. When the Sabians raided us, they stole all the animals and killed all the farmhands. I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. The fire of God has fallen from heaven and burned up your sheep and all the shepherds. I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, a third messenger arrived with this news. 3 bands of Chaldean raiders have stolen your camels and killed your servants. I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with the news. Your sons and daughters were feasting in their oldest brother's home. Suddenly, a powerful wind swept in from the wilderness and hit the house on all sides. The house collapsed and all your children are dead. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. Job stood up and tore his robe in grief. Then he shaved his head and fell to the ground to worship. He said, I came naked from my mother's womb, and I will be naked when I leave. The Lord gave me what I had, and the Lord has taken it away. Praise the name of the Lord. In all of this, Job did not sin by blaming God. I'm probably not, I probably would not have responded this way. If I'm just trying to be honest. I don't want to be fake and lying to y'all. Um, I definitely feel a way that Satan came to the Lord and the Lord allowed him to test Job. This is the only time that the Lord allowed for the enemy to test his people. He says in Jesus says in the gospel, he tells Peter, I think it's in one of the gospels, he tells Peter, Satan has asked to sift you like wheat, right? Which means he's allowed it. This right here also goes to show that God is sovereign and nothing comes to you without him allowing it to take place. It shows a different type of posture when it comes to Job, that he would not blame God, that he would see things as though they actually are, where every single thing that he had, including his children, came from the Lord. I think another thing too is like, and I remember thinking this when my cousin passed, it was like, I was so distraught. I was definitely not like Job. And not to say he wasn't distraught. I mean, he tore his robe in grief. It's a sign of grief. He shaved his head, to let people know he's in mourning, that kind of thing. But I think about how final death seems to the living. Death seems final to us, even though as believers we know that this place is not our home and this is not where we're going to stay. Death definitely still feels very final. Job's second test. One day the members of the heavenly court came again to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser Satan came with them. Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. Then the Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. This is the second time. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil, and he has maintained his integrity, even though you urge me to harm him without cause. Satan replied to the Lord, skin for skin. A man will give up everything he has to save his life, but reach out and take away his health, and he will surely curse you to your face. All right, do with him as you please, the Lord said to Satan, but spare his life. So Satan left the Lord's presence, and he struck Job with terrible boils from head to foot. Job scraped his skin with a piece of broken pottery as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse God and die. But Job replied, you talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? That's tough right there, boy. Tough, but possible, right? Tough. It's a tough thing, but it's a possible thing. Excuse me. It's a tough thing, but it's a possible thing. But Job replied, you talk like a foolish woman. And I don't know about you, but I certainly feel this way. Like, I low-key only want to accept good things from the hand of God and never anything bad. This idea is that if God is good, then he would allow no bad to come to us. That if God is a good God, then these other things wouldn't happen. Or people start to question, well, if God is so good, then why does he allow those things to happen? I love this stance. But Job replied, you talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only the good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? So in all this, Job said nothing wrong. When three of Job's friends heard of the tragedy he had suffered, they got together and traveled from their homes to comfort and console him. Their names were Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Namathite. When they saw Job from a distance, they scarcely recognized him. Wailing loudly, they tore their robes and threw dust into the air over their heads to show their grief. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and nights. No one said a word to Job, for they saw that his suffering was too great for words. I saw this quote one time that was like, when grief is fresh, words should be few. guess this is a biblical way of handling that. And so I'm going to say something at the end. At last, Job spoke and he cursed the day of his birth. He said, "Let the day of my birth be erased, and the night I was conceived. Let the day be turned to darkness. Let it be lost even to God on high, and let no light shine on it. Let the darkness and utter gloom claim that day for its own. Let a black cloud overshadow it, and let the darkness terrify it. Let that night be blotted off the calendar, never again to be counted among the days of the year, never again to appear among the months. Let that night be childless. Let it have no joy. Let those who are experts at cursing, whose cursing could rouse Leviathan, curse that day. Let it morning stars remain dark. Let it hope for light, but in vain. May it never see the morning light. Curse the day for failing to shut my mother's womb, for letting me be born to see all this trouble. Why wasn't I born dead? Why didn't I die as I came from the womb? Why was I laid on my mother's lap? Why did she nurse me at her breast? Had I died at birth, I would now be at peace. I would be asleep and at rest. I would rest with the world's kings and prime ministers whose great buildings now lie in ruins. I would rest with the princes rich in gold, whose palaces were filled with silver. Why wasn't I buried like a stillborn child, like a baby who never lives to see the light? For in death the wicked cause no trouble, and the weary are at rest. Even captives are at ease in death, with no guards to curse them. Rich and poor are both there, and the slave is free from his master. Oh, I give light to those in misery and life to those who are bitter. They long for death and it won't come. They search for death more eagerly than for hidden treasure. They're filled with joy when they finally die and rejoice when they found the grave. Why is life given to those with no future, those God has surrounded with difficulties? I cannot eat for sighing. My groans pour out like water. What I always feared has happened to me. What I dreaded has come true. I have no peace, no quietness. I have no rest. Only trouble comes. I mean, have you ever in your life gone through a season where you wish you had never been born? The pain of a loss so great that you feel like all the good days you ever had didn't mean nothing. You should have just been dead from the beginning. This is an insane amount of pain. How many of you have because I'm going out. How many of you have avoided Job? Like there was a time where I was like, I ain't really about to be reading Job. I don't want to read it. I don't want to learn from it. I don't want it to be, I don't want no Job experience. I don't want it. I don't want that. I ain't studying it. You be like, Job, skip over that. Right. But Job is one of the wisdom books. And the reason there's so much wisdom here is because Proverbs is a wisdom book, and so is Ecclesiastes. And when you read Proverbs, it reads like, if you do everything right, then good things will happen. And the only people who experience bad are the ones who do something bad. And so that could lead you to believe, one, that if you are going through a difficult time, that you are being punished for something that you did. Two, it could lead you to believe that the people you know, who you see, your friends, your family, if they have been having one bad thing right after the other, it can cause you to believe that they must be doing something. They must have done something. The Lord must have done something. And it's all very judgy, which is why it's like no one knows the heart but God, right? People like to say nobody can judge me but God. But that's really true. It's not just something, I know people be saying it because they want to wild out, but it's not just something for people who want to wild out. It's the truth. You don't know what a person is going through and dealing with, and you have no idea why. You can speculate, you can guess, but doing all the right things doesn't mean that only good is going to come to you and never anything bad, which is exactly what Proverbs, if you study it, it can kind of get you in that mindset, like in a real works type mindset. If I do good, only good things will happen. If I do bad, bad things will happen. The only thing bad things are happening to are people who are doing XYZ. Then Ecclesiastes, that's also a wisdom book. And I'm telling you this, so like Don't just study one. If you're going to study them, don't just study like, oh, I'm only going to study this wisdom book. Start with one and then be sure to study the others, because they come together to give you a complete understanding of, like having an understanding of how God works and how life works. In Ecclesiastes, it's written by Solomon, and Solomon is telling us, basically it seems very depressing if you ask me. He's like, it's nothing good in the world, nothing matters, nothing good is good, everything is useless. But he also says this thing, like, the only thing that matters, right? That's really what he's saying, is that the only thing that matters are the things that we do for God. He says this thing where he's like, better in the house of mourning than in a house with a newborn baby. And it's like, that seems backwards, or that seems very dark. But the truth is, we learn in times of difficulty, in seasons of difficulty. That's when we grow as people. That's when we recognize the areas where we need growth. And that's when we lean into God more. I would love to say I'm leaning into God, good and bad. But the second I start going through something, or I start feeling sick or feeling ill, let me tell you something, I lean in. I be like, let me lean in. And there's this little bit where you feel like, dang, I don't want to be the type of kid that only go to the Lord, you know what I'm saying, when something's wrong, but I ain't gonna not go because I ain't, you know what I'm saying? And so this is just, I mean, it's great insight, even though it hurt a little bit, but it's just insight on, it's not if I do all things good, nothing bad is going to come to me. Or if anything came to me, it is only something that the enemy did. Now you can see that these tests were administered. You can see that the tests were administered by the enemy, but they were allowed by God, So we're in chapter 4 now. This is the NLT. Thank you, Janae. Then Eliphaz the Temanite replied to Job, will you be patient and let me say a word? For who could keep from speaking out? In the past, you have encouraged many people. You have strengthened those who were weak. Your words have supported those who were falling. You encourage those with shaky knees. But now when trouble strikes, you lose heart. You are terrified when it touches you. Doesn't your reverence for God give you confidence? Doesn't your life of integrity give you hope? Stop and think. Do the innocent die? When have the upright been destroyed? My experience shows that those who plant trouble and cultivate evil will harvest the same. That's low-key shade. A breath from God destroys them. They vanish in a blast of his anger. The lion roars and the wildcat snarls, but the teeth of strong lions will be broken. The fierce lion will starve for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness will be scattered. This truth was given to me in secret, as though whispered in my ear. It came to me in a disturbing vision at night when people are in a deep sleep. Fear gripped me and my bones trembled. A spirit swept past my face and my hair stood on end. The spirit stopped, but I couldn't see its shape. There was a form before my eyes. In the silence, I heard a voice say, can a mortal be innocent before God? Can anyone be pure before the Creator? If God does not trust his own angels and has charged his messengers with foolishness, how much less will he trust people made of clay? They are made of dust, crushed as easily as a moth. They are alive in the morning, but dead by evening, gone forever without a trace. Their tent cords are pulled and the tent collapses, and they die in ignorance. His response continues, chapter 5. Cry for help, but will anyone answer you? Which of the angels will help you? Surely resentment destroys the fool, and jealousy kills the simple. I have seen that fools may be successful for the moment, but then comes sudden disaster. He keeps telling him about what he keeps saying to him. He's not right out accusing him of anything, but he keeps saying to him, like, every single thing that he's seen happen that was bad always happened because, like, somebody cultivated something, somebody was foolish. Why should the Lord, trust you? All of these things. I've seen that fools may be successful for the moment. You can fool us for a little bit. And so you had a lot of riches and you was doing good, but you was probably sneaking up behind. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not kind. I've seen that fools may be successful for the moment, but then comes sudden disaster. Their children are abandoned far from help. They are crushed in court with no one to defend them. The hungry devour their harvest, even when it is guarded by brambles. The thirsty pant after their wealth, but evil does not spring from the soil, and trouble does not sprout from the earth. People are born for trouble as readily as sparks fly up from a fire. If I were you, I would go to God and present my case. He does great things too marvelous to understand. He performs countless miracles. He gives rain for the earth and waters for the field. He gives prosperity to the poor and protects those who suffer. He frustrates the plans of schemers so the work of their hands will not succeed. He traps the wise in their own cleverness so their cunning schemes are thwarted. They find it is dark in the daytime and they grope at noon as if it were night. He rescues the poor from the cutting words of the strong and rescues them from the clutches of the powerful. And so at last the poor have hope and the snapping jaws of the wicked are shut. But consider the joy of those corrected by God. Do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin. There it goes, flat out. Do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin. This seems like a real you did it to yourself situation right there. Can you imagine losing all of your children at the same time and all of your business and all of that, and somebody who is your close friend coming up to you talking about do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin? I'd probably be sinning right then. For though he wounds, he also bandages. He strikes, but his hands also heal. And this is my point. Time out. This is my point. I'm not saying that the Almighty doesn't discipline us when we sin. He definitely disciplines us when we sin. All I'm saying though is we have to really think about, and that's not the case here, but this just came to my mind, so I got to say it. We have to really, as believers, I think sometimes something will happen to a person and we say some of the dumbest and, in my opinion, cruelest things. Somebody is burying their child and you are telling me they're in a better place. Don't nobody care about that. I don't care about where they are. I'm talking about where they ain't, and they ain't here with me right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Or, somebody's diagnosed with cancer and then you are saying everything happens for a reason. Just be quiet. Just pray for them. Just say, I love you. Unless you have been through what they've been through, don't say you can imagine what they've been through. Just be like, I love you. I am here for you. I am praying for you. I'm going to get you some food. I'm going to come by and clean your house. I'm going to come by and take care of the kids. Because I understand that your husband is da 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 da. I'm going to come and watch the kids so that y'all can go to the hospital or so that y'all can go to the courthouse or whatever. Don't be coming to people telling them everything happened for a reason and God is still good. I'm telling you, I understand that God is still good. Don't nobody want to hear that at the gravesite, though. I love you. I see you. I'm here for you, standing in the gap for you. That's it. You know what I'm saying? People are already, he's already overwhelmed with grief. Can you imagine? So if you can't think of something actually encouraging to say and telling somebody that everything happens for a reason when somebody they love just died unexpectedly, that's not as encouraging as one might think. Okay, so just keep that part to yourself, um just don't do it. I remember when I was telling people that my cousin was sick, it was like, and he passed from cancer. They were like, was he a smoker? That made me so mad when they would ask if he was a smoker, especially people who didn't really know me or whatever. That would make me so mad because I understand, you know what I'm saying? But at the time in my grief, it made me feel like you asking me if he was a smoker as if to imply if he was a smoker, he did this to himself. He deserved it. It's not that bad. Like, I don't really know, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's also not helpful. Okay? That's also not comforting. Oh, was he a smoker? Oh, yeah. Like, it's like, oh, that's a good reason. Like, no. No, I don't care why you bury a person. That ain't never it. Oh, so and so, you know what I'm saying, was shot and killed. Oh, was he in a gang? It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I understand why people are asking, but listen, this ain't the time for that type of stuff. I could see his friends don't know that, but I obviously digress. I obviously have very strong feelings about this. Okay. Um, for though he wounds, this is verse 18. For though he wounds, he also bandages. He strike, but his hands also heal. From 6 disasters, he will rescue you. Even in the 7th, he will keep you from evil. He will save you from death in time of famine, from the power of the sword in time of war. You will be safe from slander and have no fear when destruction comes. You will laugh at destruction and famine. Wild animals will not terrify you. You will be at peace with the stones of the fields, and its wildest animals will be at peace with you. You will know that your home is safe. When you survey your possessions, nothing will be missing. You will have many children. Your descendants will be as plentiful as grass. You will go to the grave at a ripe old age, like a sheaf of grain harvested at the proper time. We have studied life and found all this to be true. Listen to my counsel and apply it to yourself. I want you to hear what I'm saying about what the Lord will do and when he discipline you for sin. He not coming straight out to say it, but he's like getting or beating around the bush. I want you to listen to what I said and then apply it, you know, if the shoe fits. There's so many lessons. So many lessons in Job. So many lessons, like when we just break down verse by verse. One, that the so many just truths and things that we can realize that I don't know that we realize. There was a council of angels. They having a meeting in heaven. What? And Satan found his way in the building. And the Lord is like, where you been? You think he asking him where he been because he don't know? Here's a small talk. Look at the Lord, small talk. Where you been? What you doing? Okay, well, you know what I'm saying? I just think it's a lot, but that's it for tonight. I pray that these Bible readings are blessing you and just getting you excited about being in the Word of God. Y'all know I'm doing something with marriages, so I'm definitely going to go back and really highlight the section where Job is having a conversation with his wife. I think it's in like verse 1 or 2. Definitely going to highlight that section, that interaction between Job and his wife. I will not be reading on Saturday or Sunday. I'll be reading again on Monday, but tomorrow is church. And so go ahead and make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. We live stream church at 8 a.m. every single Saturday, EST, right here. And then we put the community in Bold Faith Community Church by coming together for a conversation in Zoom and connecting with each other. I hope to see you in the morning. All right, let me get on to this Friendsgiving. I got my hair braided under here. I ain't really have it braided that long, so I'm gonna take it out. You know what I'm saying? In the driveway when I get over there. I ain't got but a few up there. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to come on here looking good and then with my plaits on. So I thought I would spare y'all that. All right. I love y'all. And hopefully I'll see y'all in the morning. Bye.